The anticipation in the arena was electric as the crowd prepared for a match that promised to be one of the most personal, brutal, and unpredictable encounters in recent WWE history. The following contest, announced as a no disqualification match and set for one fall, was more than just another entry on the card. It was a collision between rebellion and authority, between a man who dared to call himself the voice of the voiceless and a legendary figure who embodied WWE's power structure. The first to enter was CM Punk, hailing from Chicago, Illinois, weighing 222 pounds. As his music hit, the crowd erupted in cheers and chants. Punk had long positioned himself as a revolutionary force within WWE, someone who refused to conform, who called out hypocrisy, and who demanded change not just in presentation but in how things were run from the top down. That attitude had ruffled feathers, especially those of Triple H, the man Punk was about to face. CM Punk's walk to the ring was more than an entrance, it was a statement. Dressed in his usual gear and proudly wearing a shirt emblazoned with an image of a CM Punk-themed WWE ice cream bar, a playful nod to both nostalgia and protest, he stared ahead with fire in his eyes. The commentators remarked that Punk had not only shaken the WWE establishment, but had done so in ways most people wouldn't dare. He had crossed lines, insulted management, called out the McMahon family, and made it personal, very personal. One of the announcers noted how Punk was beating his own drum, living by his own code, and, in doing so, was channeling the frustration and suppressed desires of many in the locker room who were afraid to speak up. As Punk stood in the ring soaking in the reaction, the atmosphere shifted with the entrance of his opponent. The music hit, and the chief operating officer of WWE, Triple H, stepped out, all business, no suit, just gear and game face. Tonight, he wasn't the COO. He was the game, the king of kings, the man who had built his legacy in wars inside steel cages, street fights, and hellish environments. He wasn't here to talk. He was here to fight. Triple H's walk to the ring was slow and methodical. He wasn't just stepping into a match. He was stepping into a battlefield to defend his name, his family's honor, and perhaps the very structure of WWE. The tension between them was evident even before the bell rang. Triple H, insulted by the countless barbs Punk had thrown his way, wasn't here to put on a show. He was here to silence CM Punk once and for all. From jabs at his wife Stephanie McMahon to comments about his father-in-law Vince McMahon, the verbal war had turned personal. What began as a conflict over control of WWE had morphed into a grudge match laced with real animosity. As soon as the bell rang, the fight exploded. CM Punk lunged at Triple H without hesitation, and the two began exchanging vicious punches. It didn't take long for the action to spill out of the ring. Chairs were tossed, the announce table rattled, and the commentary team scrambled for cover as the fight veered dangerously close to them. Triple H slammed Punk into barriers and steel steps, while Punk retaliated with high-impact kicks and lightning-quick strikes. The commentators, caught in the chaos, could barely keep track of the destruction. At one point, they weren't even sure if their headsets were still functioning. But that didn't matter. What was unfolding before them wasn't just a match. It was a fight with no rules and no mercy. Punk used every opportunity he had, driving knees into Triple H, using the steel chair as a weapon, and attempting pinfalls that came tantalizingly close. But Triple H was no stranger to this environment. He methodically targeted Punk's legs, working to dismantle the base of Punk's offense, especially his dangerous kicks and finishing move, the go-to-sleep. With unrelenting focus, Triple H drove Punk's knee into the steel post, wrapped it in the steel chair, and stomped down, trying to disable Punk permanently. Still, Punk refused to quit. Time and again he fought back. He used the steel steps, dodged a pedigree attempt, and even connected with a go-to-sleep out of nowhere, nearly putting Triple H away. The crowd roared in disbelief as Triple H barely kicked out. The match became a war of attrition, neither man willing to back down. Triple H, despite not having competed in months, showed no signs of ring rust. Punk, bruised and battered, fought with the spirit of a man on a mission. And then chaos erupted. From out of nowhere, The Miz and R-Truth stormed the ring, attacking both CM Punk and Triple H. The crowd and the commentary team were stunned. Earlier in the night, Miz and Truth had complained about conspiracies and unjust treatment. Now, they were taking matters into their own hands. They pounded away on Punk and Triple H, laying waste to what had already been a car crash of a match. The audience booed, confused and enraged, as the match descended into pure anarchy. Security was nowhere in sight. Even WWE's talent relations head, John Laurinaitis, appeared at ringside, seemingly unsure of what to do. He gestured toward the back, trying to get order restored. Triple H and Punk, somehow both still moving, began fighting off Miz and Truth together, a strange and temporary alliance formed out of necessity. Triple H eventually hit a massive pedigree on Punk, but there was no referee to count the fall. Laurinaitis tried to send a referee down, but hesitated, perhaps revealing a bias or playing a longer political game. Punk capitalized on the delay, hitting another go to sleep on Triple H. As he went for the pin, R-Truth returned to break it up. The arena, now buzzing with disbelief, watched as Punk took out Truth as well. And just when it couldn't get any more surreal, Kevin Nash appeared. The crowd gasped. Nash had supposedly been fired, exiled from WWE, but there he was, massive and menacing, marching down the ramp. He leveled both men with brutal attacks, clearly with his own agenda, leaving a wake of devastation. This wasn't a match anymore. It was a complete breakdown of control, a manifestation of all the backstage turmoil that had been bubbling in WWE for months. Despite everything, Triple H refused to stay down. Bloodied, exhausted, and furious, he rallied. CM Punk, too, stood tall once more, defiant and driven. The final moments of the match were a whirlwind of finishers, near falls, and pure willpower. Triple H hit one last pedigree, this time with a referee finally in place, and secured the victory. Barely. The bell rang, but there was no celebration. The arena was silent with shock and awe. Both men lay motionless in the ring, bodies broken but pride intact. The war they had just waged transcended wins and losses. It was about legacy, about change, about authority and rebellion. Triple H had survived, but at what cost? CM Punk had lost the match, but he had proven, once again, that he was the most fearless, relentless, and talked-about figure in WWE. The show ended not with triumphant music, but with unanswered questions. Why did Nash return? What were Miz and Truth truly after? Was Laurinaitis complicit? And most of all, was this war over, or had it just begun?